It is time now for Dr. Judy Wurtman and Food for a Mood. Judy, of course, is the co-author of the Serotonin Powered Diet, serotoninpowereddiet.com. Also, the Kindle edition, Simon Loses His Tummy, and her latest book, Before Her Voice Was Still. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, dressed red and white, Judy Wurtman.
Yeah, because she's Mother Christmas.
Well, no, I'm not saying
she's
Mother
Christmas. She's dressed in blue and white. She's Mother Hanukkah.
Good morning, both of you, and I'm rapidly jogging toward that corner around which is spring.
Good luck with that. Well, I'm sorry you don't count. Wisely, you're in Florida, but still, you don't count.
I know, but I've had our share. I grew up spent most of my life in New England, but this is really it's a dreadful weather forecast, but in a funny way, the fact that people are not traveling, let's hope they're not, to visit people in person rather than seeing them online, means that the weather should be irrelevant. I mean, if you're home and you don't have to worry about going out on the highways or going to a party or to a Christmas Eve dinner and coming back with those high winds and
no, you just have to worry about your power going out, your dogs, and all the stuff at home in your basement flooding and not being able to get outside. But other than, and if you've got to feed the chickens, good luck with that. But you do not have to worry about the driving.
Don't get fed on Zoom. But
yeah.
But again, one of the things I was thinking about in terms of this holiday is the fact that, of course, as everybody has said, this is hardly original, is that it's totally different from anything else one's experienced because of the inability and the non-wisdom of going to visit people in person. And I had a strange experience this past week, Jill, that makes me think that maybe it's not such a great idea to try to see people when you're really socially distanced and all you see are their eyes and maybe the tops of their eyebrows across, a park or even a large room, and you really can't be close to those people, as close as you would be if you actually could see their face and their environment on a Zoom screen. And I had that experience this week when I inadvertently bumped into somebody I hadn't seen for maybe 8 months. But we talked all the time on the telephone, and I'd seen her on Zoom. And she bumped into me in a supermarket that I rarely go to. But she then moved away from me very quickly because she has somebody very sick at home, and she is very careful about socially distancing herself. She was, completely covered with her face mask, etc. And it was almost as if I saw a non-person because there was no interaction between us. We didn't want to really say anything across the distance of the supermarket, like, how are you, what are you doing not right now, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized that in some ways the intimacy of seeing her on a Zoom screen was so much greater than seeing her in person with all of the restrictions of not really getting close to somebody else. And that, in a way, I think we're getting used to the fact that when you see somebody on Zoom or even FaceTime, you're seeing their face, and you're seeing the environment in which they're talking to you, and their home or maybe their office. You see the people in their home. I was listening to a lecture last night by a friend of mine, and in the middle of the lecture, he was doing it in the kitchen. This is a lecture. His wife came in and opened a cupboard to take out something. She was making dinner, and then another point that the dog wandered in, sort of barked at the presenter, and then wandered out again. And then his granddaughter sort of wandered in, was munching on something, and I thought, this is really very funny. I mean, we're sort of seeing people in their home environment. They don't really plan it this way, but because if your audio is not muted, you're hearing the background noises, and you're seeing how people are really living just as if we were visiting them in their home. Whereas when you see them outside, socially distanced, you see them in an incredibly restricted way. Don't come close to me because you may be contagious. I don't want to be catching anything from you. And so in a sense, we're making really enormous changes in how we're relating to people. It's been so many months that now it almost feels more natural to see people on a screen than really see them and not be able to interact with them. I mean, when I saw this friend of mine, I wanted to give her a hug. I hadn't seen her for 9 months. I could not even get close to her, because I was afraid if I had an unknown, if I was not sick, if I was sick but didn't know it, because you can't get tested every day, that I might inadvertently give her the COVID, and then she might inadvertently give it to her mother, who is seriously ill. So it's a very strange situation in which we're in, and I think that this holiday, Christmas, and then New Year's will be the same thing. That if you want to be safe, you cannot be with other people, and if you want to have an intimate relationship with them, it's much easier to do it on a computer screen than trying to do it in person across a large distance. And of course, when the weather is cold, where are you going to go anyway? Outside. So our whole relationship with people, I think, has changed, and maybe who knows how quickly it will be when it changes back to normal, if we ever really will change back to normal.
I hope we will.
I hope so too, and I hope that we will be able to hug and touch and be sit next to people and share meals with people.
Because I'm going to say something. I'm going to interject here.
Please.
Humans, that's what humans need to do. So unless you want to be Kal-El or whatever. I'm going to get my Superman people wrong. I don't know if you ever saw the original Superman movies, not the originals, but the Richard Donner movies, where everything was conducted by a giant screen, and the rulers all ruled from a giant screen, and the people all communicated through their giant screen. No, they actually had small screens. But the point is that unless you want to lose completely your humanity, ultimately, people are going to need to figure out ways to be back in literal touch with others. That's all I wanted to.
Oh no, you're absolutely right, and I think that's what was so bizarre about my meeting this person, because spontaneously I would have hugged her. How are you? Let's chit chat. We would go off in a corner, maybe go off for a cup of coffee, forget about our shopping, etc. It's been months since I actually saw her, and yet I could not do anything. And in fact, she sort of disappeared down the aisle because she really did not want to be close to me. She did not want to be close to anybody, and it's like a great big psychological rejection. Oh wow, she doesn't want to see me. I knew intellectually why she was doing that, and yet emotionally I had a reason with myself saying, well, I know she doesn't want to be with you because she is worried about bringing something home to her mother, who I said was sick. And yet I said, if I could, when I would chat her on the telephone or see her on Zoom, there'd be obviously no restrictions. And I said, what is the alternative? I think that I felt more comfortable talking with her on the telephone and seeing her on a Zoom screen than seeing her off in a distance. And again, you're absolutely right, Jill. It is an extremely uncomfortable, unnatural way of interacting with people. Maybe there are societies, especially societies where women are separate from men and where they can't interact with each other at all, or the women are covered up totally, and probably that is the norm. But with our society, we are so touchy-feely, which is a good thing, that I think it grates, I think, on our natural instincts not to be able to do that.
Thank you. By the way, you're absolutely right in my view. And thank you very much, Dr. Judy Wurtman, official ending.
Okay, have a cuddly Christmas, if you can.
Ho, that was very good, Mother Christmas. Thank you very much, Judy Wurtman. Thank you very much, Dr. Judy Wurtman, Food for Mood.